from every angle. She rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama. Yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen. She's a queen. You gotta treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall. A champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, you are eccentric, empowering. You're mine. She's a queen. You're mine. You're my. Treat her like no price could be put on how much she's worth. So valuable. She's the soul of the earth. Yeah. All a part of God's genius plan. Powerful as she can be. The man's H-E-L-P. Yes, sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She is humble, honest, and helpful. What I like about her is she's educated. She's my ebony, empowering. Yeah. She's my queen. Sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She's amazing to me. Humble, honest, if you ever had one. She's educated, she's my queen. She builds me up, she keeps me going. Sophisticated, strong, she's my queen. Simply amazing. She is, oh my, she's my queen. She's educated and she's empowering. She is my queen.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is R.C. Blake's, and it is my immense honor and pleasure to be able to share with you today. Before we get started in what I think is going to be a revolutionary discussion or conversation today, I would love for you to invite some others to come in and to be a part of this conversation today. You know, we're getting ready for, presently this is June of 2023, as I'm first airing this, and we're getting ready for our Queenology weekend. We're calling it the Crowning. It's going to happen in the city of New Orleans. I think it's August 25th through the 27th. I'm always bad with dates. And so you should see the link in probably in the comments or definitely in the description, where you can go and register for Queenology 2023, the Crowning. We're calling it the Coronation. It's going to be amazing. So since we're in that Queenology vein again, I want to look at some things that would lean into Queen consciousness. And so I decided today that we would discuss how a woman enforces her value with men. Now, I started to title this How a Woman, or How to Teach a Man Your Value. But too many people could have been misled to believe that I would have been saying a woman should hang around and try to convince a man of her value. No, that's never my message. But what we're talking about today is how a woman should live and function with men in general in a way that leaves no room for the man mistaking her value. You know, when you think about the world's greatest brands, you know, Rolls-Royce is always my go-to. I think there's no greater brand than Rolls-Royce or Rolex or Versace or Gucci or, you know, the list goes on, right? You have a myriad of great, amazing brands. And the thing the world's greatest brands have in common is that the world's greatest brands enforce their value. They do not allow the marketplace to tamper with their value, because the world's greatest brands know their worth. So they don't give you and I a chance to determine their value. They give us the opportunity to discern their value and to participate in their value. The world's greatest brands decide what their value is based on their worth. They know what they've put in, and so the world's greatest brands have a unique way of demanding their value. And watch this, the world's greatest brands are not marketing to the general population. They are marketing to a sliver of the population that would understand their value, would appreciate their value, most importantly, can afford their value. And so they do this in a number of ways. They do this with non-negotiable prices. You're not going to go into Rolex and try to talk them down. You don't go into a Rolls-Royce dealership trying to haggle. They enforce their value through non-negotiable pricing, their presentation in the marketplace, the way they show up in the marketplace always suggest to everyone this is what the world calls high end. Their association with a certain class. They enforce their value through never going on sale. You don't go into a Rolex store and see, sale tags. Not if it's a real Rolex store, They enforce their value through their ability, watch this, and their willingness to let you walk out if the price is too high for you. They're not going to beg you to stay. If the price is too high for you, they will let you walk out of the store gladly. Why? Because they have determined you are not their customer. So I think there's something to be learned by women relative to how the world's greatest brands manage their, brands and enforce their value. And as a consequence, never have to haggle. I think a recent report showed that Rolls-Royce, the sales of Rolls-Royces went up during the pandemic. When everybody else was slashing prices and trying to figure out how to get customers, the customers of Rolls-Royce bought even the more. And so there's something to be learned from women relative to how to enforce your value in the dating/mating marketplace. If you go to Proverbs 31:10, it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." I always love this text because what this text is teaching us, when it uses the language, her price is far above rubies, what it's teaching us is that the virtuous woman establishes herself, and when you look at her price is far above rubies, that is a point where she has some non-negotiables. A price suggests that, you have to fall within this frame or else you're not the one we're looking for. Well, today, I think a lot of women have not established their value so concretely so as to be able to say, well, you can't meet the standards, so you're not the one I'm looking for. Best of luck. And as a consequence, we have a generation of women who are constantly slashing prices, constantly negotiating value because you don't understand your worth. You've not been able to establish your price. A price says there are limits. A price says this is as low as we go. And if you can't meet us at this standard, you are not the one we're looking for. Well, there are a few things that a woman may do when dealing with men that subliminally signals to this man, this is my value, and you had better take note of it. I'm not to be tampered with. I'm rare. I am the prize, and I'm not run of the mill. And there are a few things that I kind of pulled out of my masculine mental Rolodex that I know if a woman understood these things and enforced these things, it would signal to men, especially the men that would qualify to be husbands, that here's a woman whose value is not negotiable. Number one, when you're dealing with a man, now listen carefully. Listen carefully. Always lift him. If you want to enforce your value, if you want to train a man to understand and to see your value all of the time, from the first time you meet a man to a man that you've been dating for 12 months, or a man that you've been married to for 20 plus years, as a woman, as a feminine woman, always lift him. Now, this speaks of making a man feel like a man whenever he encounters you. You see, women whose value is appreciated, whose value, you hear modern men today asking the ridiculous question, what does a woman bring to the table? For a masculine man, quite honestly, all a woman needs to bring to the table is her feminine energy. And when a woman is really, actualized in her femininity, that always lifts a man to a place that nothing else in life, nothing else in the world can do for him. You think about men that are motivated to earn a lot of money. Well, back in the day when I was coming along, the reason men were motivated to earn a lot of money is because they wanted to be able to afford the presence of feminine women. And so when you understand this as a woman, that when you're in the presence of a man, be it casually, just in passing, trying to develop some kind of chemistry, connection in a relationship, in a serious relationship, when you learn to constantly lift a man, your value is always on Front Street, because for a masculine man, there's nothing that lifts him like the presence of a feminine woman. There's nothing that actualizes a man's masculinity like the presence of a feminine woman that could be interested in him. Now, what does this look like? For a woman, here's the wisdom in this. Every time you encounter a man, always make that man feel good about himself. Now, you may know from the beginning, from just meeting the man, that you're not interested in him, but always make a man feel good about himself. Smile, be polite, tell him something kind, and move on if you're not interested. But in every case, unless you're just dealing with a jerk of a man, always leave a man, when a man leaves your presence, always have that man in the mindset, man, she made me feel good about myself. What did Maya Angelou say? She says, people will forget this and they'll forget that, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. As a feminine woman, if you want your value to be front and center, where men cannot miss the value of you, always be a woman that lifts men. Don't be a woman that breaks men down, pulls men, No. Be a woman that lifts men, because men are addicted to femininity. Now, you have to understand femininity versus being, a feminine species, or the feminine species of man, is not the same thing. There are a lot of women who are feminine in terms of their biological construction, but in terms of their mind and their approach to the way they live their lives, there's a lot lacking in terms of their femininity. When a woman walks in her femininity and she owns it, she lifts the room wherever men are. Femininity is like the light showing up in darkness. It cannot be resisted. And so I say the number one thing a woman may do that enforces her value in the world of men especially, is to learn how to master your femininity. I call it the awe effect. Speaking of using it as an acronym: approach, energy, words. Approach, energy, words. Approach is the way you show up physically. It's the way you dress. It's the fragrance you wear. It's your posture. And you have to understand this: feminine attire. I think this is important to note. Feminine attire is not sexual. In fact, about it, women that dress overtly sexual are masculine, because a woman that dresses overtly sexual, when her attire is overtly sexual attire is masculine because it's aggressive and predatory. When a woman is feminine in her attire and she wants to, put her value on Front Street to men, she's not dressing overtly sexual, she's dressing feminine. Valued feminine attire is self-respecting. It's wife-like and captivating in a high energy kind of way. A lot of women think that you're dressing in a feminine way when you take stuff off. No. You are dressing in a feminine way that speaks of wife, speaks of value, when you can put stuff on and yet it projects your feminine energy and your feminine essence. Now, I can't tell you a lot about that because I'm not a woman, right? But you can kind of look at women who are models, and not models in the sense of runway, but models in the sense of women who have gotten the best outcomes in life. And you can look at the way they present themselves, the way they show up in the world, the way they approach life. And you can learn a lot of that from the women that have gone before you. So your approach will leave a man in awe. Then you have not only your approach, but then you have your words. Now, words are what? Words are what come out of your mouth. It's your actual language. The Bible says in Proverbs 31:26, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Let your words as a woman, if you want to leave the room in awe, let your approach be feminine. Let your words be intentional. Let your words complement and never compete with. For instance, here's some good advice. You have a man that's excited about, his job, what he does, what he earns. And in your mind, you know that what you do earns twice as much as what he does. Well, if a brother's so excited about what he does and what he earns, and you're just meeting this brother, even if you don't plan on going any further with this guy, don't shoot his moment down. Compliment him. Man, that's awesome. How long did it take you to get to that point? Oh man, I worked my way up. It took me 7 years, but I finally got here, and he's feeling great about himself. Because as a woman, you want to always leave a man feeling great about himself. And the words you choose to speak and the words you choose not to speak are important relative to the impact you will leave on a man's life. Because you go from your approach, you go to your words, and then it leads into your energy, which speaks of your attitude, your facial expression, and your tone. I can't talk a lot about this because I don't want to get in trouble. But a lot of women, your value is missed because your attitude is it sometimes too dude-like. Your tone is too dude-like. Your expression is too, and a lot of times granted, and I'm the first one to come to the defense of women relative to the expression, because we as men have traumatized generations of women, and a lot of times women are wearing that trauma on your facial expression, or in terms of your facial expression, and we want to judge you for it. I don't judge you, but most men are not enlightened enough to be able to look beyond your expression or listen beyond your tone, or look beyond your attitude. Most men are going to judge you for the energy you bring. And so I suggest to women that if you really have an interest in making a great presentation in terms of quality with quality men, maybe go and do some therapy or some counseling to work through your trauma, so it's not showing up in your energy, it's not coming out in your facial expression, it's not showing up in your tone of voice. The Bible says, let your true beauty come from your inner personality, not a focus on the external, for lasting beauty comes from a gentle and peaceful spirit, which is precious in God's sight and is much more important than the outward adornment of elaborate hair, jewelry, and fine clothes. There's something to be said for a woman whose inner beauty can show up and manifest itself on that woman's countenance. Let your energy as a woman, let it be engaging. Let your energy be an energy that's interested on whatever level is appropriate, in a man. If it's no more than asking him a question about, who he is, what his interests are, what he does. Men love to discuss what they do. They love to discuss what they're interested in. But let your energy be engaging, be interested. Men are always interested in the women that are interested in them. Let your energy be respectful. Let your energy signal confidence and fulfillment. Don't show up like, I need a date, I want a man. No. Let your energy reflect confidence and personal fulfillment. Men are always intrigued by women who are not needy of them. Women who seem to be completely secure in their own skin and are not desperate for the approval of a man. So be the woman that's intentional about lifting men. Always leave men feeling better when you leave. Of course, this does not apply to men that are jerks, but always be the woman that walks into a room, always leaves men feeling better about themselves. Find something to compliment the brother about. Man, that's a nice tie. Oh, that's a beautiful tie. Great talking with you. Now what a minute, wow, she said she liked my tie. Now he going looking for more tie. Because you said that, now he's trying to spruce himself up. He's trying to look his best all the time because he met a woman that lifted him. Most men, y'all got to hear it now. Don't shout me down because I'm preaching good. Most men, or many men, should I say, struggle to locate women that make them or lift them, that make them feel better about themselves. You'd be amazed at how many married men have wives, men that are fulfilling their marital responsibilities. They're faithful, they work, they bring their money home, they respect their woman, and their wives take them for granted and no longer spend any energy in terms of lifting their own husbands. You never pour into, see, you can say what you want, you can like it if you want, not if you want, it is what it is. Men are egotistical beings, and we adore the women that pour into our self-esteem or our ego. Now, a well-adjusted man can maintain and sustain himself by himself, but he adores a woman that lifts him. Now, point number two, if you want to be the woman that enforces her value in the presence of men without saying, this is my value, be the woman that lifts men everywhere you go. Number two, know how to leave men. You got to know how to leave, and you got to know when to leave. There's a time, listen to this very carefully. This is really a father-daughter talk. This is the stuff fathers should teach their daughters. There's a time to restrict or to rescind access. Especially, watch this, if you are thoroughly enjoying a man's company. If this is a new man you just met and you are just, wow, blown, your mind is blown, you got to know when it's time to leave as a woman. A woman should generally shut the date down before the man. The wise woman does not offer too much access before the schedule allows. The moment a man knows that you are listen to this very carefully. This is for especially when you're just starting out with a man. You just, you want to make certain that you enforce your value, that there's no mistake about your value. The moment a man knows that you are as interested or more interested in him, he may take advantage. A woman has to intentionally position herself to not be read. Now, once a man can read you, he may then take emotional advantage. So a woman that wants to enforce her value must know how and when to leave. Listen to what Proverbs 4:23 says. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. You see, you can't afford to let yourself go. And he needs to feel like you're not a done deal. Value is always restricted. Let me give you an example of that. Now I'm going to build on this because I want you to get this. You got to know when to leave. Some of y'all, the mistake you made with a lot of the men in your past is that you didn't know when to leave. You let the man shut the dates down first, which always signaled you were as interested or more interested than he was. But value is always restricted. Before I could afford to go into high-end stores, I was intimidated to go in because I knew I didn't have the means to finish the deal. It was like the price restricted me from going in psychologically. Well, when you as a woman know when to shut a thing down, restrict access, leave, and move off of the scene, what is happening is the man is trying to compute in his own mind, which every man needs to do, am I enough? Because men love to conquer. And a man ultimately will fall in love with a woman that he feels like he has to win. The moment you make him know he's got it premature, before commitment and love and all of that kind of thing, you shut down his drive. Anytime a woman, listen to this statement very carefully. Anytime a woman leaves first, a man will think about her and more than likely 99% of the time pursue. But when you just hanging around and, Dude picks you up at 7 o'clock, and here it is midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you still bright-eyed, you ain't ready to go home. That says what? You ain't got nothing to do. You don't have another man nowhere. You are completely infatuated with him. So now he's feeling himself. But you know what? If dude picks you up at 7 o'clock and somewhere around 9:30, 10 o'clock, you're like, I gotta get home. I'm sorry to cut the date short, but I gotta get home. What are you doing? You are signaling to his mind. See, women have to signal. Men pursue, women signal. You're signaling to his mind, man, I wonder if she's feeling me. See, men, we need to feel that way. I wonder if she's feeling me. I got to win this girl, I wonder if she got another man. I wonder if she doesn't like me. You got to understand the wisdom in knowing when and how to leave. That's the biggest problem with a lot of women. You give entirely too much access too fast, and what's happening is you're moving ahead of the man. You're supposed to follow the man. If the man is on 10, you hang out at 8. If he's on 9, you move back to 7. If he goes to 8, you go back to 6. Come on now. Maybe even go back to 4 if he's going backwards. But you got to know when to leave. You got to know how to restrict access. Now, number 3. What did we say? Number 1, the woman that enforces her value in the mind of a man and teaches a man, what her value is indirectly, is the woman that lifts the man. She makes the man feel better about himself. And then after she lifts him, she's the woman that leaves. She's like, okay, it's been great. Thank you. Talk later. She knows when to leave. And when she leaves him thinking. But then watch this, number 3. She's the woman that loves herself more than she likes him. See, it doesn't matter if y'all have been dating for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. You have to always be the woman that loves yourself more than you like or love the brother. Right? You got to be the woman that can pick your broken heart up and walk off and leave him at any moment because you always love you more than you love him. You love the idea of me more than you love the idea of we, when the idea of we becomes toxic to me. And see, when a man knows that you love yourself more than you like him, it breeds a respect in that man for you, because your loving you more than you like him is signifying or modeling self-respect to that man. See, you can't expect respect from the world until you have modeled respect for yourself. A man cannot value you above the value you have for yourself. When a woman allows her infatuation with a man to outrun her self-respect, she trains the man to lower his idea of her value. You ain't never supposed to be in no position as a woman begging a man to stay that told you he want to go. I don't care how broken your heart is. I don't care how broken your heart is. You are demolishing your self-esteem when you on the phone begging a man to stay that already told you he wants to go. I don't care how heartbroken you are. You got to let that man go, because you got to ultimately train yourself to love you more than you like any man or love any man. You see, if you went to a jewelry store that said to you, let me show you how this works. Why you got to love you more than you like him. And you got to enforce that even when your heart, sometimes you got to let your heart break for your soul to heal, right? That's my saying. But if you went to a jewelry store that you thought was a high-end jewelry store. Just imagine this, just a high-end jewelry store that said to you when you got there, we will take whatever you offer. But isn't that like a $70,000 Rolex? Yeah, but we'll take whatever you offer. And everything in this store, whatever you offer, we'll take it. How much value would you place on the item you purchased for nickels or pennies? If you purchase, you would have a hard time believing that the stuff in those cases is authentic. Anytime you go into what's supposed to be a high-end store and they're saying to you, we'll take whatever you offer, you're not going to place much value on whatever they're selling. More than likely, you're not going to purchase from that store, because any legitimate, authentic store is not going to say to you, we'll take whatever you offer. There are limits. And when you as a woman do not signal that you love you more than you like him, you are like the high-end jewelry store that says to the customer, I'll take whatever you offer. And they'll simply say, no thanks, won't have any. Now, here's an interesting text that I don't think I've ever used this text in terms of teaching a queenology type session or a women's empowerment session, but it's powerful. Everybody loves the story of Queen Esther, right? But if you look at Esther's predecessor, I guess that predecessor is the one that comes before, right? I think it is. If I'm wrong, y'all forgive me. But when you look at Esther's predecessor, the queen that came before her, there's a lesson to be learned. In Esther chapter 1, verses 10 through 12, it says, on the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, in other words, he was drunk, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, my God, these some names, Zethah and Carcas, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. He wanted her to come out and parade for the people to just look at her. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very angry, and his anger burned in him. Now, when you read the story, the full story, he got angry because he was drunk. He called in for the queen, put on your crown, come out here and parade in front of these people so they can look at you. She said, I'm not doing it. And so king said, okay, long story short, we getting rid of you. I'm done with you. And you ain't the queen no more. And that's when he started to look for another queen. That's when he found Esther. Well, when you look at this woman's situation, the king talking about come out here and parade in front of these people, and you supposed to be the queen, the queen Vashti was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not coming out there and parade in front of those people. I'm not doing it. Now you can take your little crown back, take your little position back, do whatever you want to do, but I love my dignity more than I love the idea of being your wife. A woman has to be fine, watch this, with losing a man to maintain her dignity. When you're willing to compromise your dignity, you are a broken woman, and a man will test to see if you love you more than you like him. And you have to be like Vashti. I'm not doing it. Now, if that means this is the end of we for me to maintain a whole me, I'm not doing it. When you live with that standard as a woman, you communicate your value. Come on, somebody. You're not negotiating with your value. Because sometimes making a man respect your value, listen to this very carefully, sometimes you will lose a man today for making him respect your value, but it teaches that man a lesson for the next woman. Because when you read the full story, when Esther came along, the king didn't play with Esther like that. Come on now. In fact, about it, Esther pushed the limits and the king submitted to Esther's request. I submit to you that it was a queen that came before Esther that taught the king how to respect the dignity of a self-respecting woman. And when you want to communicate, when you want to solidify your value as a woman, you have to always be prepared to love you more than you like a man. So if that means you got to pick your heart up and say adios to a man that you thought would be the one, so be it. Number 4, you got to listen to the man carefully. If you want to enforce your value, if you want to train a man to recognize your value, you got to listen to him carefully. Now, number 1, we said you have to lift him. Women whose value is on Front Street are women who lift men, and men just feel better about just being in her presence. Number 2, we said women who communicate their value are women who know how to leave men. Nothing communicates your value to a man like when he sees you walking away. Now, I could have gone further on that, but some of y'all, you can learn a lot from that. Number 3, we said you got to learn to love yourself more than you like him. And then number 4, you got to listen to this man carefully. Because this involves allowing him to express himself without interruption. The secret to a man's heart many times is learning to listen to him without interrupting. A man needs a woman that makes him feel like he's heard. Don't interrupt him. Don't have a whole lot of different facial expressions. Be an active listener. Learn to listen to him. Because the secret alter ego of every man is to be a superhero. We need to feel like we're smart. We need, especially in the eyes of women, we need to feel like we have the answers. We need to feel like we helped. We need to feel like we solved the problem for the woman. And when a woman makes a man feel like, he's all of these things, she's making him feel like Hercules. And all it requires is just kind of listening actively with an interested demeanor. It is a boost to his masculine soul when he gets a woman that will listen to him carefully. James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Now, listening, not only does it boost his masculine soul, but listening to the man also allows you to ask questions that will test his honesty. And see, when a man knows that you're actually listening to him to an extent that you're going to be able to recall what he said and ask him questions, a man has a different respect for a woman that will hold his feet to the fire. You see, a lot of women, average women, a man can tell them anything, and they just popping gum and they just all over the place, their eyes batting and all of that. They don't hear nothing this man saying. This man said three different lies in the last 60 seconds, and they ain't caught none of them. If they had just paid attention, they would have been able to put 2 and 2 together and would have been able to figure out this man is lying. But because they're not listening, when a man knows that a woman is listening, it will boost his masculine soul but it will also heighten his respect for the woman when he knows he's dealing with his intellectual equivalent. And the Bible says in Proverbs 18:15, the heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. Wise women whose value is communicated are women who are listening, women who are paying attention. Men value women that listen to them. And men also value women who are scrutinizing respectfully, lovingly, and in a feminine way, scrutinizing what they're saying to the point that they can ask questions. Queens ask questions that only kings can answer. And so when a man knows that you're listening to him, it makes him respect you. It elevates his sense of appreciation and his value for you. And then number 5, you got to live at an above average level. If you want to be a woman whose value is communicated without you saying, I'm valuable, you got to live at an above average level. You can't be just a basic woman out here and then out here expecting exceptional woman benefits. I paused right there because I need you to think about it. See, you came back to mind, I'm a queen, and then you walk in these streets like you just basic. If you want to be respected, and if you want your value to be discernible, you got to live at an above average level. And that requires more than walking around with labels and brands. That's the way you live your life. Be exceptional. Just be a woman that is so exceptional, he's not going to be able to find anything like you anytime soon, if ever. Just be that woman. You don't have to be out here desperate for a man and trying to shoot your shot and trying to run a man down. Be an exceptional woman. Live at an above average level with these men. Show up. Come on now. Show up in a way like they've never had a woman show up like that. Lift this brother in a way like he's never been lifted before. Demand respect from this brother in a way like he's never had be able to walk away from this brother in a way that makes him confused about if he was right or wrong, if he's in or if he's out. Just be an exceptional woman. Live at an above average level. Live your life at an above average level. Don't be all over the social media cussing and running with, other kinds of women. When he see you showing up, let him see you showing up with an above average circle. Let him see you making above average post. Let your language be above average. Let your appearance be above average. Let your attitude be above average. Let your energy be above average. And when you live at an above average level, you will get an above average response. And the Bible says in Proverbs 31:29, many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. You got to be the one that excellest them all. Lisa Blakes is the first woman I've ever been faithful to. And I think about it quite often, how many great women that I had in my young life, in my youth, that I just wasn't mature enough to respect and to honor. I mean, many great women. Many great women. And it hurts my heart to think that, I did some of the things I did when I was young. I have to keep saying that because a whole lot of old cats out here still messing up. No, this is more than half of my life ago. But Lisa Blakes was the first woman that I ran upon that said, okay, I'm out. I mean, just walked off. What did that say to me? Man, this is a different kind of chick here. And watch this. When she walked off, I realized how much that woman lifted me. I'm preaching better than y'all shouting. See, you just gotta be the one that excels them all. You gotta live at an above average level if you want your value to be enforced without you having to enforce it. It's the way you live your life. When you move into this place, I made a post on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, go find me on Instagram at RC Blakes. When you move into here's the post I made. When you move into your non-negotiable stage, everything you ever imagined will come to you. Your biggest problem is that you've underestimated you while you've overestimated everybody else. You got to live at an above average level, and the whole world will have to respect your value. I'm done. May I pray for you? Father, I thank you for every woman and even the brothers that are tuned in today. Let the words of my mouth, dear God, resonate with them. Bring healing and bring correction and bring balance and strength. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, if you need counseling, look in the description and there's a link for BetterHelp Counseling. If you engage that link, you will be afforded 10% off of the cost of their counseling, and BetterHelp in turn will make a deposit into RC Blake's Ministries for my referring them to you. Don't forget to go by Amazon, pick up all of my books, Queenology, Soul Ties, Me, My, Mine, all of them. Go and pick them up at Amazon right now. Go to my website, rcblakes.com, sign up for my mailing list, and while you're there, check out all of my online programs. Thanks to all of you.
Every step's a dance, mystery, romance, chance and circumstance, symphony of
who have sown into our lives today. Lisa and I love you so much. Don't forget, Queenology 2023 is happening in August. You can go and register now. People are already registering. We have 3 different packages. When you check out the website, look at all 3 of the packages. Figure out which one works for you. We'd love to see you in the city of New Orleans for Queenology. The crowning, welcome to the coronation 2023. Now, don't forget to like this before you leave out. And just know Lisa and I love you. You're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So we will see you at the top. God bless you. Until next time.
We here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. R.C. and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by R.C. Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by R.C. You may find all books written by R.C. and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.